So I just got back from the store. I'm still downloading this one. It's almost an hour, so it takes for, I don't know, there's something weird with their whole download process, because some of them, it can go super fast, and then other times it will take all day. So this one's going super slow. But, so I'm going to reference some stuff from that one. But this is after the one that's still downloading. I'm sure this one will pop up first. So one of the things, though, I just left to go to the store, and what was weird is there was no dandelions anywhere. So I think they just don't open until a certain temperature, even though it said it was like 42. It still feels like it's in the 30s. But there was none anywhere after I just left the other day, and there was like an ocean of them. It was really, really weird. I was like, oh my God, have I just stepped into another timeline after I was just talking about that? And then at the end of my street was a dead possum in the street when I had just said there is like an extreme amount of weird behavior with animals and animals dying and stuff. And I mean, you know, it could be that the animals are just, they can't hear cars coming over the frequency or something. I don't know. It's hard to know everything that is going on because the technology is so far beyond our understanding. And so another thing too is I had started to tell something earlier, and I don't think I finished it, but it was a TikTok guy. He was talking about the split and this merging, right? And I always say it's the split between science and nature. And he said it's the coming together. He thinks it's the coming together of science and nature, or whatever this group of people who are, it was one person, but usually there's a wavelength. Like I had said before, you will understand to your own level of understanding. And how can any of us know who understands more and who understands less when we don't even understand the problem? You know what I'm saying? So he was saying that he believes that is this merging of science and nature to create this new spiritual, technological kind of thing. And see how I see it. I mean, I've kind of seen it, you know, kind of fluid throughout this, but right now I see it as we are splitting between the natural and the unnatural world, science, nature, and that we're going to go into a time of healing, which is going to elevate us spiritually, but the technology is going to come from all of the suppression of all of the patterns that we have been that have been hidden from us. So that's what I think. I don't think we're going to merge with this current group of scientists, because I feel like they're very suave-minded, if you know what I mean. And when I got back, I just made this really lovely cup of tea. It's like the first morning one, so I was like, well, I'm going to go in there and talk and drink it. This is like that perfect cup. It's so great. So I you know, I wouldn't say I agree with him, but I don't know that, you know, until we see how things play out. How do we know? How do we know? I mean, it's all just speculation, right? And to me, it is speculation based on insight. And I don't know his insight. I don't know his guidance, you know, and I don't know where his reality is taking him. So I sure can't say, you know, maybe my reality, maybe my timeline, maybe the world I'm going towards is different than the one he's going towards. I mean, we're having where we can see reality has so much to do with what we perceive. So if he and a huge group of people perceive that that is going to be their new earth, it would be the same as like how we have continents that are having all different experiences, where I'm now seeing it kind of as like they're all planets. If we go to this idea of planets being these bodies of land that are around us, because I don't think it's by coincidence that they're the same name as what they tell us it's up in space, but they're also on a map with us. So, man, it's really doing it again today. Like my tongue won't move. It feels so weird. It's like feels like electricity all over here. So, and another thing too, I wanted to say was, so while I was okay, when I got up there, I went to the weed store. I got my favorite, and it's really popular stuff. So I went up there to get it before it ran out and get a few more groceries, because you never know when, shit's going to go down. I mean, you kind of got to be prepared every day. Like, today could be the day, and who knows how far and what's going to happen. And I mean, I don't know. I think it's very unique to each situation, each place too, because I feel like we're not just petri dishes. We're all little independent globes, and they just shake us up and do whatever, They just toss down whatever. Just seeing the atmosphere, and now realizing that there is an atmosphere, but they're creating another one in between. I think that's why it looks like multi-level of skies, and where there's normal clouds and not clouds and all this weird stuff up there, because they are blanketing us in this atmospheric control of where it's them trying to override nature again. So I cut myself off and forgot what I was saying. Let me think. Okay, so I went up to the store, and ran in and got a couple things, and some of this stuff is outrageous. A pound of butter, like $5. I got a little tiny jar of mayonnaise, but mayonnaise like $6. And let me think of some. The other stuff was probably, I got some sugar. I looked out and got some on sale. I got a bunch of yeast, and I got a bunch of flour. So even if that bread I got at the food bank that I put in the freezer, which, if you load up your freezer, don't forget, they take down the electrical grid, all your food is going to go bad. So with that bread, then all of the bread in the freezer, but I have a whole bunch of flour and yeast so I can make more. And so I still have a lot of beans and stuff. And I just think, like, okay, well, I mean, depending on how bad it got, I definitely feel like I could survive for months on this amount of food I have. But if more people came, I would share. But I would also, people would have to realize, this isn't the time where you eat a full meal. Like, there's going to be a big change. I saw a girl yesterday. It was some guy, and it was kind of an advertisement, I think, for his nutritional plan. And I can't remember. I think she had some kind of illness or something, and he was treating it through diet. I don't know. I could be inaccurate on that, but in 10 months, she lost 110 pounds. He was even shocked, and he was showing the pictures. But I think there's going to be some extreme weight loss just when people have to change how they're eating and change how they look at food. Because I think it's just been so much a part of this consumerism and gluttony and the chemicals in the food that has created such an obesity problem. And it's all, to create unhealthy people, because that's what they want, so that we're reliant on their system. We wouldn't dare leave their system. What would we do without them? But there was, so when I went up there to the store, that was a lot, but I went over across the street to pick up my joints that I had ordered. And the girl came out, and she's like, "Oh, I haven't seen you in a while." And I was like, "Oh yeah, I haven't seen you." And because I'm always really chatty with her, she's really sweet. And I talked about this months ago when I got really upset because of, she did that. And it just is heartbreaking when you like these people. And so she came out and she said, "Well, I haven't been here because I had the Dovic, and I had to be off for a week and a half, because it's the Dovic and you have to be off, but I'm okay now." And I just was like, oh my God, it changed my whole ride home. I'll tell you, I was like almost in tears. It just breaks my heart. Like, you can't even have a real conversation with these people because they really believe what they're being told. And, And then just, it's making me get those tingles in my nose, like I'm gonna start crying. Just to know, these people, there's a lot of people who are gonna, transition out from this, and it's just heartbreaking. It's really heartbreaking. And I know, they're here as a soul, learning their lessons, and they are helping the transformation into this new world, but still really sad. But when I was driving back and I was feeling like that, I was feeling kind of overwhelmed by the sadness of it all. And it was like I started getting these visions of, just the darkness of where it could go. And so this is what I wanted to say is I think that we really, until we know for sure that we don't create this, they give us the thought and then we create it, because that's how powerful we are. Until we know for sure that we aren't creating this stuff that is happening, we need to just keep not focusing on the timelines that they keep telling us. They keep giving us all of this horrible stuff to create fear. Right now, the food shortage, the horrible things people are hearing is creating so much fear, so much feeling of the loss of control. And, that's where we need to go up and realize that there's a higher force above us, and that there's a purpose to all of this. But, as long as they keep presenting these timelines, I think we just have to keep shifting our focus onto the best timeline for us. Because I think that they're trying to pull our energy in to create the fear. And it has something to do with this stuff called luge or something. And the beings, the energetic beings around us that feed off of our energy because there's so much energy we create with our emotions, and fear and anxiety are huge. I wonder too, because they sell that, there's probably something in the medicine where it says it's helping that, but I bet it does something to promote it too. Because, the increase of how many people have anxiety disorders now, it's really crazy. It's really crazy. So how much of it is the medicine really kind of, because in the stuff where I saw about the mescontin and the whatever, the antidepressant, where it stops your body from making what it's supposed to make and starts doing it all artificially, and so it gets people all out of whack. I bet you it's something like that, because they do trade or sell our energy to these beings around us that we can't see. And that's like why if you're in a, really, spiraling out of control frenzy of fear and panic and stuff, that's why I always think of all of them kind of, if you could see them all being like a bunch of like those bald, naked, vampire-ish looking, the big black sockets and really long kind of limbs, and kind of eerie. Maybe I was one of them before. I don't know. Souls would try all sorts of things. I don't know. I because it's not like that they are negative. I mean, it doesn't have to do with what they look like. I just saw a picture where somebody was showing some supernatural picture, and I saw that, and it's what I would picture these luge eaters. So that's why I picture, like, if you're in this panic, and they're all over you, like, I don't know, sucking that energy, trying to get all of it for themselves, because it is a lot of energy that you put out. We just don't realize right now, because we haven't learned everything about this world and our avatars and energy, and it's just a new thing for most of us. So I don't think creatures or other beings or whatever you want to think of them that live off energy, that go to a source that's putting it out, it is the people here who try and create fear and stuff in us. Those ones, because they're making money off, or whatever, power, technology, whatever it is that's being traded. I think there's been a lot about technology that has been traded. And, it goes back You can hear that stuff about with Hitler and stuff, because he was really into the supernatural, metaphysical. You know, he knew about some stuff that I'm sure they all know about this stuff. You know, they all know. Maybe not every president, but like the royal family, all the Rockefellers and all them, they know. They probably have meetings with beings like that, like what they showed in American Horror Story, where they had those beings going into meetings with government officials. I'm sure they go in and meet with these families, the keepers of this place or whatever. And another thing too, there's way more people now talking about the these things not being what they're telling us, that they're really trees cut off, and giant trees from this, where it was crystalline based atmosphere or something, and now we're carbon based. No, you can go into that stuff. I learned about that stuff watching flat earth stuff, but it's probably in other places. But this recording, or this video this guy had made, and it was talking about the giant trees and them being cut off, but he was talking also about the giants, which there's so much more talk about the giants now. Like, people are really understanding, like, there's giants. And it's funny, when I was a kid, because they made that show, Land of the Giants, where we were little people. We are like ants for some of these beings. Not all beings are giant, but there is giant beings. And but this guy, he was showing the mountains as being dead giants, and he was showing like their face and everything, and I was like, whoa, could you imagine some of these giant mountain ranges? But who knows how tall those giant trees were. And the dinosaurs, they probably weren't really giant. They probably were really, like dogs to them or something. I don't know. It's just, it's fascinating, all of the possibilities, really. It's really fascinating, and I think everything is available. It's whatever you can put your energy towards, wherever you want to go. I think it's something about time travel, but it's something about lucid dreaming. It's something about us just gaining control of our consciousness while we're still in an avatar. But, who knows what this whole situation is going to change, if we're changing again from carbon-based back into another crystalline base to have heaven on earth. So then our bodies will change again. But, when they had shown me that before, and I was driving, and they made it clear to me that it would not feel any different. We would feel exactly the same. We would think we wouldn't even know something had happened if we don't experience whatever it is that's going to change. And I know when I talk about the pendulum and stuff, I was thinking, I bet you some people don't really understand about what I'm saying. I just was fortunate enough to have a teacher or something that taught this. I don't even know in what kind of class. I did a lot of classes and stuff always. And I was always reading like education stuff and self-help books and stuff like that. But so the pendulum is like the energy of the collective, or it's the positive and negative. And it's always got to go swing one direction, and then it will go so far, but it has to swing back and go the other direction. So as much as they've taken us up into this evilness, see, it has to swing back. And so it is a swing between, kind of like if you think about the weights, the balance. So it's kind of like the collective swinging in one direction, seeing, oh, that was, all this bad stuff or whatever, and then swinging back. And then we will still have other things that will have to go back and balance, because there isn't good or bad. It's just experience. It's not a set thing. Just like I'm seeing those beings, they wouldn't just necessarily be bad because they go to where the food source is. The whole problem is that we just are kept in the dark. or we've been kept in the dark for so long. But now we're coming into the light. And then it changes the game, and they're trying as hard as they can to hold people back in the dark. I mean, I couldn't have a real conversation with her today. It was heartbreaking, and she said, I still got it, but I'm doing really good now. Can be like, well, it's probably not what you have, and that is probably really making you sick, and you got to really focus on your health and really try and get as many chemicals out of your system as possible, detox, all that stuff. I can't say that because that's not in the three-dimensional existence. That's not in the narrative. The going in and trying to be healthy, just like when I had told my brother that, and he was like, oh, I'm not going to do that woo-woo shit. And then I'm seeing this other girl who has healed herself from stage 4, had a couple months to live, all by removing chemicals and focusing on natural herbs and stuff like that. And is 7 years in, no recurrence, and on her 17th account. The narrative is the 3D trap is all about this Western medicine and what it can save you. The world's out to get you. But luckily we have this wonderful government that's here to save us, even though they're going to pass the buck on to the next group of people. We got to be getting close, right? It's got to be getting close. I mean, if we're to the point where they're going to start trying to come in and they're trying to push the 2030 now in 2022, and they are going to, put these people in charge of us. I mean, if that's going to go down on the 25th or something, then I would say, shit's going to get real quick. But there's so many things. I mean, they told us that they were going to come in our houses and drag us out and do this to us. And all of the threats they've made have all just been threats. So, I mean, not for everybody. We know some really bad stuff is happening. I saw footage yesterday where it was supposedly Shanghai, and they busted through and busted out of this one building, like right through the glass door or something, which is kind of weird. Because if it was glass, why wouldn't they all just be going anyways? I don't know. But it seemed kind of like, they got all these people walking around in hazmat suits and stuff. So there is bad stuff that is going on for, all different people in all different places. But I still think we need to focus on the best timeline for sure. But if they are doing all of this to keep us in fear so that we keep feeding this other energy that's around us, I don't know. I mean, we'll see. We'll see what happens after this one. I mean, are they really going to make moves, or is it more threats? It's not like they're not making moves in other places. Like, I know there's stuff happening in other places, but there's certain places where we've gotten a lot of threats. So, we got to still see. I mean, I know people are really going, having to figure stuff out without formula. It's going to be the same thing with the food. All of this stuff. They've already started the fires in California. Here they're still doing the snowstorms. They've already started the fires. When I was at my mom's this last week or whatever, I said, well, I hope you're going to be ready, because I think they're going to be hitting y'all hard with the fires this summer. There was a weird thing when I was out, in her little building, my glamping situation. It was very intense. But there was this weird kind of sound that was coming. And I was like, what in the hell is that? It sounded kind of like a train, like if you were right by a big electrical locomotive, not like a ch-ch-ch-ch. It was more like it was different. It was like this really intense. And so I was trying to listen and figure out what it was. And then the wind chimes started. First, it started with this one that was outside, but it sounded like it was right by my ear because there's no wall really. And it was, it started dinging. And I was like, what the hell? I sit up and I thought, like, this is creepy. And then it did it again. And then a whole bunch of them. She has a lot of wind chimes like me. And then a whole bunch started going. Then I heard the wind come in. And so it did it a couple of times, and it like blew in this cold front, but it was so unnatural sounding. And she said it does it like that all the time. And I don't know. I think it was so weird. It was so unnatural sounding. I mean, it was weird because everything was really quiet. It was the middle of the night, and being outside and hearing it so clear, I was like, maybe if they came in the day, it would just sound like more noise, but you could really hear how it was coming. It was weird. And so I told her, if they know where to catch these air pockets, they'll send in, and then plus the drones that just come in and shoot like where they want to start them. So, they're until something goes down, which I hope it's by the 25th, man. God, I've been hoping this for a damn year. So I hope by the 25th, but something's got to happen to start changing this power over. And there's so many celebrities now being charged with sex crimes. And I saw one, I think this is another one, but 2 different couples with the wife and the husband. And I think in both cases, the woman, it could be the same one, but it's weird because it was 2 different things, but is charged with doing this stuff to kids together with their spouse. Like how, oh my God, there is no empathy, no compassion. Like, I don't know what they do to these people to get them to sell their soul, to not care about other people. Like fame and money is the most important thing. Humanity and compassion and empathy has no place in their lives. It's very bizarre. But, I don't know. I mean, I could go on and on because I know, so different people come in for these different experiences, but we have to see all of this horrendous bullshit, so that we can leave this age and see the light. And I know it has to do with where we are with this building, this new world, because it has to be different from this old world. We can't ever have somebody be in power over us like this again. And we got to keep these stories going for generations and generations. We need people to be writing books about this because this has to never happen again. People need to stay free and sovereign and never be under the control of, these mad scientists ever again. So anyways, I wanted to say that stuff because I thought it was weird when I went out. And there's a few things. I just wanted to say those. But this will probably be downloaded before the other one finishes. So you'll probably get this first. The other one I'm talking about, what was I talking about? There's so many times when I go in and listen and I'll be like on the edge of my seat. What am I about to say now? What am I about to say now? I mean, I feel like it's kind of just comes in my head and I just say it. So sometimes I don't even know what the hell I'm talking about. Anyways, I don't remember what I was talking about earlier. It was, I don't know. It was a bunch of different stuff, I think. So anyways, it'll download some point today. So anyways, I'll talk to you later. Bye.